The moment the words left my mouth, I knew something had broken that could not be put back. I was in a familiar place, sitting across from someone who had known me for years, not closely, not deeply, but long enough to assume they understood who I was. I had spent most of my adult life keeping one part of myself carefully contained, not because it was dramatic or dangerous, but because it changed how people looked at me once they knew. This secret shaped my choices, my silences, and the distance I kept. It allowed me to function. It allowed me to belong without explaining myself. That day was not meant to be important. It was an ordinary conversation, an ordinary setting, an ordinary hour I planned to forget. That was why it mattered. The conversation drifted into familiar territory: work, expectations, progress. The usual questions people ask when they believe life moves in straight lines. I felt the pressure building before I noticed it. A tightening in my chest, the need to answer honestly, even though I had rehearsed avoidance for years. I tried to redirect. I offered partial truths. I smiled at the right moments. But the questions kept circling the same absence, the thing I never named. I could feel disappointment rising, not theirs yet, but mine. Disappointment in myself for being tired of pretending. Disappointment in how much energy secrecy required. I told myself I would stay quiet. I always did. Then a small mistake happened. A sentence started one way and ended another. I said too much. There was a pause after I spoke, not dramatic, just long enough. The air shifted. The expression across from me changed in a way I recognized immediately. Confusion first, then calculation. I tried to correct myself, but the damage was already done. Once something hidden becomes visible, it cannot be unseen. They asked a follow-up question, carefully, politely. I answered, not fully, but enough. In that moment, the secret I had protected for years no longer belonged only to me. It was exposed, not through intention, but through exhaustion. I felt disappointment land heavily, not as shock, but as a dull certainty. This was the moment I had avoided. The conversation continued, but it was no longer the same. The tone shifted, the assumptions changed. Nothing cruel was said, nothing overtly judgmental. That made it worse. The disappointment showed itself in subtle ways, in softened voices, in lowered expectations, in the careful kindness people use when they no longer see you as whole. When we parted, everything looked normal from the outside, but something essential had been lost. I had not gained relief. I had not gained understanding. I had traded control for exposure. In the days that followed, I replayed the moment repeatedly, not to punish myself, but to understand it. The secret had kept me safe. Revealing it had not freed me. It had simply changed the terms of how I was seen. I learned that not every truth improves a situation. Some truths only rearrange the distance between people. The disappointment I felt was quiet, but lasting. Not because the secret existed, but because of what happened when it no longer belonged solely to me. I still live my life. I still move forward. But now, I am more careful with silence than with words. If this story felt familiar, There are more like it here.